Welcome to the New York Times. It's Thursday, October 23rd. On today's episode, we'll be talking about the two NYC mayoral debates. Election is coming up. You got the touchy-feely Italian stallion, Andrew Cuomo, taking on Zoran Mamdani, who may or may not be a member of Hamas. And then, of course, I will say the standout from this mayoral season, someone whose personal acclaim has skyrocketed, Curtis Sliwa. And I have a hot take about how he could have probably won if Cuomo wasn't there. On top of that, we'll be talking about the Andrew Cuomo attempt to gain some of a wider base. I don't know if you saw this, but Hot Girls for Cuomo came out this week, which man, what a swing and a miss.
I got to see these girls.
And a couple other stories. Graham Plattner, who is a populist progressive running for Senate that's endorsed by Bernie Sanders in Maine, reveals that he has a Nazi tattoo on his chest. Also, there is an NJ Republican gubernatorial candidate who faced backlash after his aides said he wouldn't take money from the Jews. JD Vance is in Israel right now. He had some very interesting comments on the West Bank annexation. All those stories and more on today's episode. Bit of a barn burner today. A lot of stuff going on. How are you doing? Also, by the way, I'm joined, every episode on the New York Times, we are joined by a resident non-Jew who I keep off camera so that they can maintain their job and they won't get fired or anything like that.
Not a problem for me anymore.
That's right. Taya, my art expert, off to the left. Taya, recently unemployed.
Recently unemployed. So if you're hiring, please hit me up.
Recently unemployed. But has been a non-Jew for a very long time.
Very long time. Most of my life, actually.
Most of your life, you've been a Jew. And then there was a small stint of Judaism.
Brief stint in college.
Yeah. Everyone in college goes Jewish for a little bit,
Yeah, it was Kabbalah, so I feel like it doesn't count.
Yeah, it's experiment. You got to experiment, I was Buddhist for about 3 days, and then I was like, you know what? I like talking too much, okay? I can't be a Buddhist. If you had to pick another religion, not Judaism, what are the top three religions?
Top three religions? I could totally rank them. Probably, maybe. No,
rank them. No, say it.
I feel like I'd probably be Hindu first. Because I feel like they're into some weird shit. I feel like they're into levitating and stuff like that. I feel like that's a good goal for me.
Yeah.
Would be Hindu for sure.
Okay, so number one religion is a magic-based decision. They're magical.
Here's the thing, aren't they all? And I feel like at least the Hindus really went for it,
Yeah, okay, and we're going to quote you on that. And then number two religion.
Oh my God. We got to do a wacky one for number two.
Yeah, what's a wacky religion? Pick a religion and tell me why it's wacky. See, this is why I keep you off camera. So that I keep on telling people, you're not going to want to go on camera if you ever want to be employed ever again.
Is this slander? Is this sacrilege?
Yeah. Who's number two?
Number two religion. Probably.
This is the number two non-Jewish religion, by the way.
Probably the Buddhists. I don't know.
Okay, Buddhist number two.
I took Eastern religion in college, and I did fail that course within the first 3 weeks.
Oh, so you're actually a really good example of someone who particularly bad to choose the ranking of the religion. Someone who failed Eastern religion in college.
I really just got the gist and then moved on. Number three. Gosh, we got to throw a fun one in there. What do you think? Evangelical Christians.
Oh God, there needs to be Jewish evangelicals.
Yeah,
I want to go to Yom Kippur services and do tongues. I want a rabbi to blow.
It sounds so fun. Don't you just want to get up in the church and go wild?
Yes. I want to be at a synagogue and they're playing the shofar and everyone's like, it already sounds like Yiddish.
They're scatting.
They're scatting, basically. Scatting, very Jewish. It's basically anxiety as music. There's no music that is more anxiety inducing than scatting.
No, it's chaotic. It's very chaotic.
Are you ready for the news?
Yeah, I didn't know a lot of this stuff, so I'm glad you're covering it for me.
We're going to go to the news. We got to play it. It's the New York Times news, baby! Walter Cronkite time. The debates, and that's right, she laughed at it off. A non-Jewish person laughed at when I said Walter Cronkite. The debates were, of course, over the past couple of days. I want to play, before we talk about the debates, a new initiative from the Andrew Cuomo side of things. This was announced on the Emily Austin show. Who Emily Austin is a hot blonde Jew, is what I would describe her as. And this was a hit from her show.
I'm officially starting Hot Girls for Cuomo. So if you are a hot girl for Andrew Cuomo, I want to hear from you. But in fact, let's hear from Andrew himself. Enough of me.
And then it's just him like diddling a woman. No.
Did he touch her?
I mean, here's the thing. How tonally stupid is this? You can't do hot girls for Cuomo. You can't do hot girls for Jeffrey Epstein. You can't do hot girls for Harvey Weinstein. You can't add a hot girls attachment and to someone who had to leave public office because of hot girls.
Yeah. What about big girls for Andrew Cuomo?
Yeah.
What about them?
No, I don't think he was into that.
What about inclusion?
Yeah. What about solid sevens for Cuomo? Single moms in Staten Island for Cuomo.
What was very funny, did you see this at the debate, was the one lady seated directly behind the moderators who was very expressive the entire time. Yes. And the only way that we really knew what side that she was on is every time Andrew Cuomo spoke, she made a little heart with her hands.
Yeah, she was really, really into what Andrew Cuomo was saying. I think there was a moment where everyone thought Andrew Cuomo was hot. So there is a reality. No. Yes, that was the thing that happened in the beginning.
Said that.
Before the sexual harassment suits came out, there was a moment where everyone's like, ooh, Cuomo's my daddy, whatever. That was a thing in New York. No. And there is a reality of some people who maybe didn't follow the news past the Cuomo is my daddy thing and just think that everyone's still into him sexually.
No, I don't think that's true. He looks like a Disney villain. He looks like a vampire.
Those are hot. That's what women want. Women want a Disney vampire. That's what Twilight was
like
all about.
A hunchback and a weird eye. It's not.
Here's more of the. So this is the interview between Emily Austin, the founder of Hot Girls for Cuomo, and Andrew Cuomo.
We're going to play.
Hey Andrew, what's your bagel order? This is my impression of how I think this interview is going to go. Andrew, what's your bagel order? And then Andrew goes, "Listen, hot toots.
I like a bite of those cakes right now."
Yeah. What do I like? 2 eggs, deep cleavage.
Sunny side.
Or that sports edition.
Oh God, that's what they go with on Hot for Cuomo.
Jets or Giants?
Well, first remember, I was the governor, so I support all New York teams.
I like big giant boobies. No, okay, this is getting a little bit too immature here.
We're gonna get the real answer.
By birth, Jets, because I was born in Queens.
Okay.
So it'd be the Jets.
Knicks or Nets?
The Knicks, but the Nets have.
But I have a lot of voters in Brooklyn that I'm trying to appeal to. I have Madison Square Garden locked down, but there is, Brooklyn.
Michael Porter, and that is really exciting. And welcome to New York.
Welcome to New York, Michael. Rangers or Islanders?
By birth, Island.
The charisma on these two is just palpable.
I like that the woman said, you know what, girls like sports and Andrew Cuomo.
Next up, they're just going to do a whole episode of Hot Girls for Cuomo on Vietnam footage. This week on Hot Girls for Cuomo, World War II. How did the Luftwaffe get taken down? All right, that was Hot Girls for Cuomo. Last night was the NYC debate. Sorry, let me just go back on this before we go on. Whoever from the Cuomo team has decided on how to approach this from a social media and marketing perspective is a moron. Absolute moron. They hired that Zach Sage guy who is like that major Israel advocate. This is this is the actual problem with all of this. That is kind of funny. Is that Cuomo hired all of these, and let me just say also, I'm not voting for him. I'm not voting for Zoran. I don't know if I'm voting for anybody at this point. Like, I may just write into things. Like, they all have their own. Sliwa's a wild renegade who would, who wants to keep Rikers open, which is a hell of a stance. Zoran, has my issues we'll talk about, and Cuomo, once again, also, a predator. Yes. Cuomo hired like a PR team to handle his like PR stuff. That PR team is the same PR team that was handling a lot of like the Israel like information war, which as someone that loves Israel, I don't like the government out there. Everyone knows this. Ask yourself this question. Has things gotten better or worse for the Jews since October 7th media has been funded. Way worse. It's been worse. If you look at the past 2 years, are Jews has the media that has been funded by these entities been net positive or net negative overall? And the answer is net negative. So it's no fucking wonder that Cuomo goes out there and without a hint of irony is like, you know what, we got to get a bunch of hot girls online for Cuomo. And then send me a list of their email addresses and where they live. So I just want to point out that the media campaign, we're talking, Zoran's clearly going to win this thing. And Cuomo has really no one to blame but himself. For one, shouldn't have been in the campaign to begin with. Two, he was for some reason, he just was not able to take down, in the primary. He did not have the mental fortitude and didn't have the infrastructure and was completely taken on by Zoran in a way that was hilarious. If you think about where he is running for office in Cuomo, this should have been a no doubter for Cuomo, but he loses the primary. He took on that same strategy to attack the mayoral election, and all that's done is kind of plummet him.
Yeah, he already lost. I feel like everyone's like, "Why are you still here?"
Yeah,
it should have been Eric Andrews. Adams, oh my God.
Yeah, Eric Adams this morning, by the way, before we got on, he endorsed Cuomo officially.
I saw that. They were talking about it at the game last night.
Yeah. They actually, after the debate last night, he went to the Knicks game. But yeah, I just put that together. Cuomo had this locked up. He fucked up. He then put himself as an independent into a race that he was not going to win, and all he's done is become more unlikable. He is so unlikable that he's made Sliwa look like a goddamn legend, which is crazy.
He looks like the Disney villain now, and Sliwa looks like some kind of weird underdog, Oliver Twist.
It's
hero
sad.
Here.
It's really sad. He's never looked older. Yeah. That's the thing. He's stumbling over words. Yep. Sliwa has that Trump thing where the older that Sliwa gets, the tighter and funnier and more personable he gets.
I love it.
The conversation that a lot of people are having now is that they haven't been exposed to Sliwa. I'm from this area. I remember Sliwa for years. I remember him for the last election and stuff like that. He was never taken seriously. Sliwa now, for the first time ever, is being exposed to people who are realizing that, he's got crazy ideas, but this guy knows New York better than anyone knows New York. The first debate happened, and there was a question about NYC housing or 311. The question was about 311. Moderator goes, "Hey, have any of you guys ever called 311?" And Zoran's like, "Yeah, I called them once to fix my heater." And then Cuomo's like, "No, but I heard it was bad, so I called them, to see, how bad it was, and it was really bad." And then Sliwa was like, "I'm on hold with them right now."
I got him on speed dial.
Are you out of your mind? I called them 4 times a day. It's a mess. He knows. They were talking about NYC housing. They're like, NYC housing. What do you think about NYC housing? And Cuomo's like, it's in disrepair. We got to fix it. And then Zoran's like, we got to add all these houses. And then Sliwa's like, every day I patrol 4 to 5 of those NYC housings. No one knows what they're doing. We got to bring the schools into the housing. And you can just tell that he actually he has spoken to more New Yorkers than both of these guys combined. Understands the city more than anyone else understands this city. Is a lunatic.
Yeah.
Is a full-on lunatic. There was a question about shutting down Rikers. I didn't think that the concept of whether to shut down Rikers or not was a question. I thought everyone was just like, when do we shut this thing down? He's like, we got to add 5 more buildings. We got to double it, okay? We got to make Rikers 2 next door to it. So here are a couple of highlights from last night's debate. First of all, my favorite highlight of the night.
If there was a ranked choice election, how would you vote, Mr. Mamdani?
If there was a ranked choice election?
In this. You'd have to rank these.
Myself, number 1, and Curtis, number 2.
Mr. Sliwa.
Oh, please don't be glazing me here, Zoran.
Mr. Sliwa, do you want to have an
I
answer?
support ranked choice voting, but I'd only vote for myself.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
He said that with the charisma of the Fawns, too.
Hey, come on, man. Don't be glazing old Sliwa. What is so funny about this is that him and Zoran, they're vibing. They're bonding. If you're Zoran Mamdani, you're like, thank Christ. I mean, he doesn't believe in Christ. Allah? Is that who he's a Muslim? Yeah, Allah.
Yeah.
Did they say thank Allah? What a gift from Allah.
Allah Akbar?
Yeah, but that means he's good.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, Sliwa, was a gift from Allah down here. It's so funny because like Cuomo went into these debates thinking like, all right, all I got to do is out debate Zoran Mamdani. Little did he know that the thing that will ultimately sink him is Curtis Sliwa. Who hates him.
Yeah.
Curtis Sliwa hates Cuomo more than he hates Zoran. Zoran and Cuomo just started talking and meeting each other. Yep. You could tell that Sliwa is like, I remember when you were 15 and your fucking dad wouldn't shut up.
They have generational bad blood.
Yeah, this is like old time New York, politics is coming into this in a very funny way. Here was a clip about Sliwa, where this is actually dead serious. This is the part where I did think that he gave the best answer of the night to anything. And this is him talking about gang violence.
Once again, the architect of Raise the Age, Governor Cuomo, the apprentice to him, Zoran. It's personal for me. My oldest son, Anthony, last October was the victim of a vicious gang assault that could have killed him. And what happened to these juveniles? Cut free because they went to family court, not criminal court. So how can both of you look at me? I almost lost my oldest son to gang violence, and the perpetrators went to family court and got a little pat on the wrist and was sent home to do it again and again. No. We need to start charging juveniles who commit violent crime in criminal court, and I'll appoint criminal court judges who follow the law and don't just release them because of no cash bail.
All right, maybe don't lock up the kids. No.
This is your number one policy?
Minus the whole let's lock up the kids angle to it. Him just being like they're talking about, this is the way that I've described this debate. Like they'll just like Zoran will be like, we've got to fix the Board of Education. We got to go back in there and we got to set up infrastructure. And then Cuomo is like, we have to go out there and fix NYCA housing and make affordable housing. And I'm the one that is responsible for making the most affordable housing of all time. And Sliwa is like, the Haitians and the Irish have to respect each other in Forest Hills. Enough with the Haitians and listen, the Dominicans and the Puerto Ricans in Washington Heights have to play okay with the Italians in East Harlem. It's amazing. It's amazing. Here is Zoran Mamdani on the Intifada language that was said.
Tell New Yorkers today, which is that I will be the mayor who doesn't just protect Jewish New Yorkers, but also celebrates and cherishes them, who doesn't just increase funding to hate crime prevention programs by 800%, who doesn't just ensure that the NYPD are outside of synagogues and temples on the high holy days, but also actually delivers on the implementation of the Hidden Voices curriculum in our school system, so that children in this city learn about the beauty and the breadth of the Jewish experience right here in the 5 boroughs.
Okay, I've got a different. Yeah, but can I just comment on that, please? Not everything is a TikTok video. You're the savior of the Jewish people. You won't denounce, globalize the Intifada, which means kill Jews. There's unprecedented fear in New York. It was not several rabbis, Errol. It was 650 rabbis who signed the letter, not several.
Okay. Some stuff on that clip specifically. First of all, it was 850 rabbis that did sign a letter against him, like right before. You got to look at the denomination of these rabbis. The reason why I bring that up is because Zoran has like tokenized a lot of the Jews in his campaign to be like, look at all these rabbis. But then you look at it and you're like, okay, these are like rabbis that represent a very small percentage of the community.
They're all socialist rabbis.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't want to, it's weird because there's this element where I don't want to like downplay their level of Judaism, but because that doesn't come into it. It's a question of like, do these rabbis represent any significant portion of the Jewish community in New York? And the answer is no. Like, by the numbers, they don't. So it always felt very insincere that he would go out there and say, like, I'm a friend of the Jews, while being kind of like vague about this stuff. When he talks about like sharing the beauty and the breadth of the Jewish community, I'm just like, fucking, okay, chill out. Just like make it easier for us not to get attacked potentially, by communities that he supports. Like, this is the other thing with it, is that he has to at some point recognize that a lot of the left-wing hate that has happened against the Jews comes from anti-Israel spaces. The overwhelming majority of left-wing hate against Jews comes from anti-Israel spaces. So until he references that, it is kind of hollow, and it is kind of just like all lives mattering, this situation that he can't like be more open about, because that does attack 83% of his voting base. He can't denounce that. He said that he would lightly behind closed doors. He told people that he would be against, people using the globalized intifada chant. That's not enough. Like, he needs to go out there and say, like, this is wrong, and you need to, like, he just needs to be more public about it. So it does kind of feel like, half-assed until he goes out there and says more.
Can I say something really funny that I saw this morning?
Please.
Okay, so this morning I saw a post from him almost immediately, just organically on my feed. He ran a 5K for aid into Gaza for Palestinians this morning. Like, and look, I don't want to criticize the guy for running a race, but you got to think about the optics and the timing on the way you're doing these, like, literal publicity stunts. This isn't just a 5K that he signed up 4 or 5 months ago. You don't have to post about it, is kind of the thing.
Yeah, and
you could have just showed up, but you put the social media post out too immediately after the debate, where you're like, no, man, I'm in it for the Jews too. Like, what do you? Then do a run for them. I don't know.
No, but you're 100% right, because last debate he was asked about the concept of going to parades, and he was like, I'll be too busy to go to any parade.
So true.
Which is like, that's not the question. The question is, we all know, it's like, would you go to the Israel parade? Like, if there was a Palestinian parade or something like that, like, what would you go? You clearly go to that. Would you go to the Israel parade? And he doesn't want to answer that, which is also like fucking stupid. It's so not the point of any of this. It's actually, I want to point out, crazy that we were having this many conversations about Israel and Gaza in the New York City debate. Yeah. Like, it does not matter at all. I am someone who loves Israel. My family lives in Israel. I could give two shits about what he thinks about Israel. It really is just a question of the anti-Semitism stuff. And I don't know. He's been wishy-washy. He's gone, and he's putting up advertisements in Yiddish in Orthodox communities, and he's like meeting with like the Jewiest looking Jews that he could possibly meet without meeting anyone that is just a less stereotypical looking Jew, in the middle, because that involves having like a deeper conversation. Okay, here's one thing. Here's one more thing.
I've heard from Jewish New Yorkers about their fears about anti-Semitism in this city. And what they deserve is a leader who takes it seriously, who roots it out of these 5 boroughs, not one who weaponizes it as a means by which to score political points on a debate stage. Mr. Sliwa.
Zoran brings up Israel a lot for someone that is going out there and saying, how dare Cuomo weaponize anti-Semitism for cheap debate and cheap mayoral votes. They both are guilty of bringing up anti-Semitism and Israel in a way that is just like benefiting their election. So it does feel kind of like, okay,
I think the real question here is, what's Curtis Sliwa's take on the whole situation? How would he fix the Middle East?
He'd be like, George Pataki needs to take over as president of Israel. I mean, he's very, he wants to, Sliwa's like insanely pro, like, not cop, but like he's pro guardian angel. So he thinks that the guardian angels should probably be sent into Gaza to handle Hamas.
They could fix it.
Listen, all you need is 5 guys with a red beret, send them to Rafah, and let them see what they can root around.
Can I say something crazy? I don't think that the guardian angels would honestly be a crazy choice to stabilize the region. I think that they're empathetic but tough,
Yeah, I agree with that. If you're, first of all, guardian angels, religious.
Oh.
A religious thing. Uh-oh.
I like that we're bringing in a third party to mitigate.
Yeah, everyone's like Israel, Hamas. I'm like, what about the guardian angels? Okay,
send a bunch of good old fashioned Christianity.
Yeah. Here's what I want. I want 50 guys, red satin jackets, red beret. Send them into the aid stations and just let them be like, hey, looking like 70s tough. You
want some bread?
You want some bread? No bread, you're dead. Anyways, okay, that is kind of like what I have on the, the debates happen. First of all, the mayoral election is coming up in a couple days. I think that unless Zoran fucks up tremendously or gets hit by a bus, I even think if he gets hit by a bus, he'll win, to be completely honest. Cuomo here's the big conversation. So this is kind of like what I want to end on this mayoral debate thing. Big conversation has been about Sliwa dropping out to let Cuomo have a chance. A couple things with this. One, he was never going to drop out. If you know anything about Curtis Sliwa, you knew that he was never going to drop out. Andrew Cuomo knew that Curtis Sliwa wasn't going to drop out. The Democrats who have put their money behind him know that he isn't going to drop out. The Republicans who put their money behind Cuomo know that he wasn't going to drop out. It was a foregone conclusion that Sliwa was going to ride this until the end. Have you seen the guy? He wears a red beret. It took him until this year to have someone convince him to not wear a red beret on the debate stage. Like, what are we talking about here? They're like, I can't believe the guy who always wears red berets and has a radio show where he's a shock jock on 770. So what are we talking? Everyone's like, I can't believe the shock jock who wears a red beret on 770, who's known for founding his own security force and having them police places, despite the fact that the cops and everyone didn't want them to police places. They're shocked that he wouldn't drop out. That's so fucking dumb. On top of that, if you really wanted Mamdani not to win, Cuomo should not have run. They should have put all of the effort, the resources, and that money behind Sliwa, who I am not voting for. But if they really, really, really wanted to have a chance at Mamdani winning, and this wasn't just about Andrew Cuomo being a self-centered politician who wanted to go back into political office. There was actually a really funny moment yesterday during the debate where he made some comment. He was like, before I left politics, I had the cities. He said something like, before I left politics, the city had never been safer. And then Sliwa made the right decision. Made the right comment. You didn't leave politics. You were forced out of politics because of all the sexual harassment lawsuits that were against you. The DNC was about to impeach him. That's why he left politics. So you're running this imperfect asshole that no one wanted to run. He is so unlikable that Curtis Sliwa is likable now compared to him. Sliwa was never going to drop out. Cuomo never had a shot in hell. He should have never put his name in as a third party. They should have just put all the money and resources behind a Curtis Sliwa if they really wanted him to win. And I can tell you how he would have won, because he would have taken the news cycle. We have seen Zoran Mamdani took the news cycle a couple of months ago, and that was how he catapulted into fame. Give this guy 2 weeks of positive news cycles. Sliwa one-on-one against Zoran would have whooped his ass in a debate. And you put all of a sudden, he starts to make a little bit more sense. He's able to appeal to New Yorkers. He's likable in some weird way. You would have just seen him chip away to a point where it would have gotten closer towards the end of, the political, of the campaign and voting lead up. And I do think that he would have at least brought it close. You're going to lose by a mile with Cuomo, or you win by 5 feet with Sliwa in an upset. Cuomo was never going to win. So this idea that people are getting pissed off at Sliwa for not dropping out, that's like being pissed off at fish for swimming. Yeah. That's like being pissed off at Leo DiCaprio for not dating old. Yeah. Yeah. You're going to get angry at a baby for laughing at a bubble?
Yeah, you're asking him to quit while he's ahead. He fucking rules. He's a better candidate than...
He's never been closer to being the mayor than right now.
And he is a charismatic leader, and that's what you need to beat Mamdani, because he is also a charismatic leader.
Mamdani is scripted. Mamdani and Cuomo are both insanely scripted. They both have nothing interesting about these two. It just is what it is.
Curtis Sliwa, he's organic.
Most unscripted. I'm surprised he hasn't said fuck on air yet. I'm surprised that he hasn't dropped a racial slur. I'm surprised he hasn't. But there's a world in which he would have won where Cuomo would have never won. All right. Anything else you want to say about the election?
No, I loved it.
All right. Graham here's another little bit of political news. Graham Plattner, a populist progressive running for the Senate in Maine, reveals Nazi tattoo on his chest. And yet Bernie Sanders is still endorsing. So he's an oyster farmer. He's a progressive military veteran. He's running for Maine's. He's the Democratic Senate nominee. And he has had a Nazi tattoo for 20 years almost. Graham Plattner shared a video. This is out of the JTA. Graham Plattner shared a video of himself shirtless sporting the tattoo on a popular progressive podcast. Guess what podcast?
What podcast?
Pod Save America. Boom. He denied himself ever having Nazi views, which is kind of confusing if you have a giant, big old Nazi tattoo on your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a guy dressed as a Hasidic man just being like, I'm a hipster.
This is called fashion.
It's called fashion, okay? Listen, swastikas are in, bitch.
Everybody was getting tattoos. They were like, pick one. I was like, that one.
That's not far off from what happened. Plattner said that he would get he's now saying he would get the tattoo removed.
Why did he say that before everybody saw it?
Why did he go? This guy thought that going on Pod Save America was the coolest way to show off his Nazi tattoo. 41-year-old political neophyte had picked up steam in left-wing circles for his populist positions, including Israel's military campaign in Gaza. Against the military campaign in Gaza. In addition to endorsements from progressive leaders, including Bernie Sanders, Morris Katz, who is the Jewish campaign strategist behind Cuomo's digital ads, and actually made a video for Plattner. This week, a recent video of the shirtless Plattner also surfaced in which he can be seen sporting a chest tattoo of the Totenkampf, a Nazi-era skull and crossbones design favored by SS officers. The Totenkampf, or Death Head, was also the name of division of officers who guarded concentration camps. This guy got the concentration camp tattoo. Now, it's interesting because there's two kinds of concentration camp tattoos. There's giant Totenkampf death skulls, and then there's the numbers they put on my grandmother's arm. On Pod Save America, Plattner said that he had gotten the tattoo in Croatia in 2007 while on shore leave from a tour of duty in Iraq without knowing what it stood for. We went ashore in Croatia, myself and a few other machine gun squad leaders, and we got very inebriated, and we did what Marines on liberty do, and we decided to get a tattoo. He said he and some of his companions, quote, chose a terrifying looking skull and crossbones off the wall because we were Marines, and skull and crossbones are pretty standard military thing. And we got those tattoos, and then we actually all moved on with our lives. He then went on to say, I am not a secret Nazi. He knew at some point over the past 20 years that this was a Nazi tattoo. Yeah. So he's had until now to get rid of the Nazi tattoo. There's no reason to keep the Nazi tattoo on it.
Yeah, why didn't he just remove the Nazi tattoo, then take off his shirt and say, no Nazi tattoo here?
Look at this. I got nothing.
Or get it covered up the day before. Be like, this is a bald eagle. I don't know what you're talking about.
Big picture of Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
Big picture of Israel's pre-67 borders. He's got to get
I've had this the whole time.
Yeah. He's got to get a picture of my mom right over her his Nazi tattoo. What's the most Jewish thing to cover a Nazi tattoo with?
Oh, my gosh. Probably like a 9/11 tattoo, I think.
Jewish?
Yeah, never forget, you know?
There it is. Wait, what? Are you saying Jews did 9/11?
No, I'm saying they hate 9/11.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jews hate 9/11. Let me just say, famously, Jews hated 9/11. We saw 9/11 happening. We were like, oh, no.
Oh, no, not again.
Ah, jeez. Not 9/11.
9/11 on 9/11.
Yeah, he has to put his bagel order just over it, you know?
The big tattoo with the Zabar's logo.
Yeah, Saul Zabar.
Beloved, rest in peace. A memorial tattoo for Saul Zabar would make this all better.
Giant Met logo.
That's pretty good.
Giant Met logo or Mensch on the bench. A little bit of a mensch on the bench. This is what Bernie Sanders said. He went through a dark period. He's not the only one in America who has gone through a dark period. People go through that. And he has apologized for stupid remarks, the hurtful remarks that he made. And I'm confident that he's going to run a great campaign and that he's going to win. He could have gotten that tattoo removed.
Or covered up at any point.
What are we talking about here? Why are people... This is immediately disqualifying. All because he's anti-Israel? That's why he gets to stay in this? He has a neo-Nazi tattoo. Not even a neo-Nazi. He has a Nazi tattoo. Yeah. He's a hotsy-totsy Nazi. He got the Totenkampf.
Why wouldn't you just cover it up like today? Like that would be a big priority for me.
You know when I would have covered it up? A couple of weeks before I ran for public office. This is crazy. I don't like how we're just giving him an off here. Anyways, NJ Republican gubernatorial nominee faces backlash after aide says he, quote, wouldn't take money from the Jews. Idbrar Nadim, the Muslim relations advisor for Jack Ciattarelli, who is the Democrat that is running in New Jersey, made the remarks at a community dinner in Piscataway on Saturday, organized by a group called Muslims for Jack. These names are stupid. All these names are stupid. Hot girls for Cuomo.
Muslims for Jack.
Muslims for Jack. You know, it's just, you know, is what it is.
They all sound like oxymorons somehow.
Yeah. Muslims for Jack. That's the thing. They spelled with a four. Quote, people from my community, when I was blamed that somebody said you are taking money from the Jews, I said, I check my bank account every day, brother. It's not there. Minutes earlier, Nadim said that Ciattarelli's campaign wanted to have a ban on same-sex marriages. Jesus Christ. Is Jack Ciattarelli the Republican? Yeah, he's the Republican, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a Republican.
Republican not taking money from the Jews?
I mean, let's see.
Come on.
Mikey Sherrill is up 5 points.
Take some money from the Jews.
Come on, take a little. What do you got? How are you going to win the race if you're not taking any money from the Jews? You know, we run this thing. Yeah, he's a Republican. Yeah, Mikey Sherrill is a Republican who is saying that Jack Ciattarelli, he's saying that Jack Ciattarelli, who is the Democrat, is taking has a Muslim worker on his staff that said that Jack doesn't take money from the Jews, and then Mikey said, "I love taking money from the Jews." Gimme all that money. I got one last, I got two more interesting stories that I want to bring up here. The first one is a New York Times sports report, if you will. Not exclusive, but very interesting story came out of the JTA this week about the Luca Doncic trade. So if anyone is unfamiliar, last year, Luca Doncic, who is an all-star generational talent, could easily go down as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Young guy, in his prime.
Serbian.
And he Serbs Lukes, if you will. Serbian guy. So he was on, he was on the Mavericks last year. Out of nowhere, bombshell deal happened. At the time, it made no sense. The Mavericks sent him over to the Lakers for like next to nothing. It was a big shocker. What ended up happening, kind of, and we all kind of saw the writing on the wall, is that later on, the Dallas Mavericks ended up winning the first overall pick this year. And there was a very good player named Cooper Flagg who was in the draft. So what a lot of people think, me included, is that the NBA basically was like, hey, if you shut up, we will give you first round pick and you get to get Cooper Flagg. All you got to do is just send Luca to the Lakers. And the reason being is that LeBron is about to retire at some point. Either it's this year, next year, whenever. They needed to have a star on the Lakers. And to leave the Lakers without an all-star like someone like Luca Doncic would have been completely malpractice. So they moved him over there. They gave Cooper Flagg over to the Mavericks. Interesting thing, though, is that this deal almost didn't happen because of Shabbos. And the story goes, so let me just get this thing up. Basically, that it was a multi-team trade. There were a bunch of teams that were involved in this. The Lakers, the Mavericks, also the Clippers, and the Utah Jazz. And there was a player named Patty Mills. So whenever these multi-team trades happen, there's something, there's cap space. Basically, every NBA team can only spend so much money per season on their players. So in order to finagle this and to move it around, there's ways to move veteran players. There's owed money. There's deferred payments and all that stuff. So in order to make this deal happen, there had to be 4 teams involved in order to make sure that everyone still fell under the cap. And one of the players that was shuffled around in this is a guy named Patty Mills. Patty Mills is a 16-year veteran. And what is funny is that this deal almost didn't happen because of Shabbos. So the deal happened on Saturday. Patty Mills' agent is a Jewish guy whose last name is Human. And let me just get this together. Okay. It took 3 weeks for the blockbuster deal to come together. And by the way, this is from a new book by Yaron Weitzman called A Hollywood Ending. It took 3 weeks for the blockbuster deal to come together with the Lakers, Anthony Davis, a future Hall of Famer in his own right, and a first-round draft pick headed to Dallas, and return for Luca Doncic. But the Lakers couldn't pull the trigger yet. For salary cap reasons, they need to complete a separate trade with the Utah Jazz. And before the Jazz could accept, they needed to do a trade with the LA Clippers. That involved another 4 players, including 16-year veteran Patty Mills. Because Mills was in the last season of his contract, league rules require that his agent attest that no future contract with the team trading him had been agreed to under the table. There was one issue, though. Mills' agent, Stephen Heumann, Orthodox Jew. He was observing Shabbat, therefore offline. This meant that all the parties had to wait until an hour after sundown on a Saturday night, which easily could have blown this trade up. The only way that this trade happens is complete secrecy. They couldn't have anyone. So there was an actual issue here with if they just let this thing hang for a couple hours, it could have easily leaked. So in the meantime, Rob Pelinka, who is the LA Lakers' GM, and Nico Harrison, who is the Mavericks GM. So in the meantime, Pelinka and Harrison agreed to keep the details quiet. Neither side wanted to risk anything leaking. What if it had leaked? Easily could have stopped the trade. Ironically, Heumann, who didn't speak to the forward who wrote this article about this, didn't even know that the trade was happening because of Shabbos. He wasn't by his phone, so he turned off his phone after Shabbos. Everyone's like, "Holy shit, what a thing!" My takeaway from this is you are allowed to be Machal Shabbos. You are allowed to transgress the rules of Shabbos. If it comes to getting Luca Doncic on your team. I think across the board, if you were go to the pearly gates afterwards and you were like, God, I was such a devout Jew. I actually didn't even pick up Luca Doncic one time because it was Shabbos. God would look at you and say, are you out of your fucking mind? That is a generational talent. Luca Doncic, you are able to pick up your phone on Shabbos. That's my takeaway.
Yeah. You know what I think? I think you got to cut this guy some slack. He's only human.
How dare you? I was looking at you while I was reading this, and I saw your eyes kind of glaze over for a little bit. Was that you putting together the human pun?
Yeah, I was sitting on that for a minute.
Last story of the day. Last one for the JTA. She converted during the pandemic. Israeli immigration officials say her Zoom course doesn't count. So there's something called the right of return where any Jew in the world, as long as you have one Jewish grandparent, you are able to move back to Israel. They will give you citizenship. There's a question, though, about what is a Jew. That's always been a question about what a conversion process is. There's different rabbinic organizations in Israel who vote on this stuff. They decide this stuff. So there is a big question of if someone comes with a questionable conversion, is that a Jew? So this is a story. This lady's name is Isabella Vinci. Who this happened, she came out of the mikveh in 2021, the ritual bath. She then went over to a Beit Din, which is the rabbinic court, that had approved, Isabella Avicii stepped out of a mikveh. She thought that she had done everything that it would take to require. The mikveh is usually the last thing that you need. She had a Beit Din, which is a rabbinic court, who had approved her conversion after a year of study at a Reform congregation in New York. And then she also done a congregational course and had done one-on-one meetings with the rabbi. She had visited Israel on birthright. She returned for an immersion program that teaches English in an Orthodox public school in Netanya. And so she started to embrace her Judaism. Unfortunately, Israel's immigration authority did not agree. In a pair of decisions issued in January and again last month, immigration officials rejected Vinci's application for Aliyah under the law of return and then denied her administrative appeal. The letters point to two main problems. She studied for conversion online during COVID, so it was online, and she did not prove sufficient post-conversion participation in a synagogue community while living in Israel. Vinci, who was 31, had to leave behind the life she had built in Tel Aviv and move back to the United States. So she was iced out of there. She's now preparing a court petition with the Israeli Religious Action Center, which is a legal advocacy arm that helps reform Judaism in Israel. So for decades, the IRAC and other non-Orthodox advocacy groups have complained about attempts by religious parties in Israel to block recognition of conversion outside of Orthodoxy. But Vinci's advocates say she was blocked from citizenship despite a Supreme Court ruling in 2005 that would allow overseas conversions regardless of denomination. Her rejection also reflects a gap between the diaspora and Israel. They say in everything from religious practice to adaptation made necessary by the pandemic. So this is the quote. The whole world, from rabbis to strangers who hear my story, tell me I'm Jewish. They see that I'm putting everything on the line to be part of our people. The only ones telling me that I'm not Jewish are within the government agency. Why aren't they putting in the work and effort to actually understand where I'm coming from? So she was born Catholic, multicultural family, became Jewish, but not Jewish enough according to the rabbinic courts. Spicy. I think you let her in. I mean, what are we doing here? Why are we being selective? We can't be selective. Why are we being selective about this stuff?